So, from raising funds to put yourself through college, to raising awareness to put an end to discrimination for those with disabilities, you are raising people up simply by showing up. So, as an actor and a voice talent, Coco de Bruycker rhymes with oyster. Thank you for that. I love the way your Instagram profile reads. Licensed word, licensed word player falls in love for a living, cerebral palsy included, based and made in Germany. I think that's probably one of the coolest Instagram profiles I've read ever. Well, thank you so much. Honored to be speaking with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Allie. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to just get right into things. You know, there was a point, and I'm gonna start with some. I mean, there's so much for us to talk about. I'm gonna get right to something hardcore, right into the middle of things. Something that pause. Your story consists of like so many stories, so many volumes already in your life. Of the many volumes we've read through, there was one that really struck a chord in Jack and I, and that we have so many questions about. So I want to start there. I want to start with the fact that you were ready to give up on life. But then you read Beethoven's story. Please tell us, how did his story give you the strength and the will to live?
Well, I've always been a huge fan of Beethoven when ever since I was 10 years old, and he always he's always accompanied my life in some way. Um, and I fell into a hole, so to speak, when I was 15, and yeah, I felt misunderstood. I felt like, yeah, I felt misfitting, and I also felt I just couldn't find um like I couldn't make sense of why I was here the way I was, and I also felt pretty lonely because I was a twin at birth, but my sister, she died shortly after we were born, so I was also packed with what people, and also people connected to the military sometimes call as survivor's guilt. So I felt pretty guilty for being myself and for being alive. Um, and yeah, and then Beethoven came back to me in some weird way, and I always had multiple biographies of Beethoven around me, and I was listening to his music a lot, and and there was this letter that he wrote, and he never sent, I believe, about, yeah, like his last letter, his letter when he wanted to give up on life, when he was noticing that he was losing his hearing, and yeah, and the thing that gave him life the most was just fading away. And I was reading this letter, and I don't know why. I was just sitting on the floor, and I just looked around in my room with all my books and my music and the paintings, and I thought, man, there's still so many books to read, and there's so much music to explore. I just don't want to go just yet. I feel like there's still something that I have to do. Um, and yeah, so that is why street art is also a really big thing for me, and that's why I also started collecting it on my Instagram account, because I feel like it's just so amazing to have so many gifts just around you, you know. And especially in LA, and also New York and London, there's so much vibrant art out there, just that people just share with you, and I feel like, yeah, and that's why I really enjoy being an artist, because I feel like we share so much. Always like to say, as an artist, it's our job to verbalize what we all feel, but nobody dares to say. And yeah, so that's a brief story how Beethoven came back to me and saved me, and also inspired me to keep going, and also that it's okay to be yourself, and even though it seems to be lonely sometimes, to raise your voice and be your own art and your own muse. Like, yeah, like I was reading a lot about Frida Kahlo today, so she also said, like, be your own muse. Like,
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that in addition to being your own muse, you are and will certainly be a muse for a lot of people. Um, wow, how incredibly beautiful. Um, to be able to recognize and see the beauty around you and to find comfort in that. Um, so
yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, you know, so here's the thing. There is a number of things that you do, from acting to what else do you do? You act, you have voice talent,
I
you
act, I dance, right? Like I like to call myself just a performer or an artist, like
uh,
performing artist. Maybe that's it.
there you go. As a performance artist, there we found it super inspiring the fact that you dance every day to raise awareness for mental health. So, how did the daily dance for mental health come about? Because Jack and I are in love with it.
Okay, so like the daily dance, like the 15 seconds a day dance challenge, which is called the 15 seconds a day dance challenge because a story on Instagram is 15 seconds long, is actually not created by me, but by journalist Sarah Radin. She's based in New York, and we worked together. She interviewed me for an article about disability and sexuality, but I think we're also going to touch on this later on. But she, I saw her dancing on her story, like, not every day, but like sometimes. And I thought, that's cool. Like, why don't we do it every day, you know? Because I love dancing. Like, I'm a natural dancer. I don't dance professionally, but like, I don't know. I love doing it, you know, to raise my my vibration, to raise my mood. And I've been doing it for many years in my own bedroom, like in this very room without anyone to see. And one day I thought I could as well just, you know, share it and put it out there. And my hope was that I could inspire people to join me and join me dancing. And it's beautiful to see that I made an impact on so many people, even though, like, I was picturing this challenge, you know, to go viral, and, you know, seeing people all over the world dancing with me. And that also already happened to a small extent. Like, we have like someone who was following me on Instagram. She recorded her little brother dancing to Billie Jean and tagged the 15 seconds a day dance challenge. Or, you know, we have, like, we slowly getting people to go and getting people to move. And, like, especially life in quarantine, I've gotten so many cute messages from people just encouraging me and telling me that seeing me dance today, like, motivated them to work out today, or to,
Right.
you know, just to have a beautiful time. And that's just so beautiful to see. And especially because people can request their own music and their favorite music. It's like, I like to dedicate every dance to a person that requested the song. So I feel like we fostered a little community, like a little family there, and it's just so beautiful to see. Because it helps me, and I always dance when I feel discouraged. Like, I dance both when I feel discouraged and when I feel powerful and unmotivated and up there. But I think, yeah, and that's why I think it's important to do it every day. So
Right.
you especially dance on the on the days you don't feel like dancing, because that's when it actually
Mm.
does the work and it heals you in a way. And yeah.
Well, I'm already thinking about what songs Jack and I are going to be requesting because
Yes,
we want to see
please.
some Coco moves, and we're big, huge into music and stuff. So you can expect a few requests from Jack
Oh
and
yes.
I. So
Please.
that will be coming in. We need to dance with you too, so I might send
Yes.
things your way.
Yeah.
um, you know, when we move on here to heart talks on Instagram, that results in really interesting conversations. Tell us about the what, when, and why for this content. How did this come about?
Okay, so Coco's Heart Talk started a little bit over, I think it must be six weeks ago. It's really recent. I just wanted to create an outlet to have the tough conversations. That's why it's a little bit like a word play. So it could be the heart talk, but it also can be the heart talk.
Uh,
Um, because yeah, like I always like to ask the tough questions because I feel like being vulnerable and having hard conversations um, makes us human and is part of the human experience. And I'm always like, I mean, as I asked you in the beginning, like I'm always intrigued by what drives people and like what's the why, and that's why I also like asked you like why did you start at Awareness Ties.
hmm.
um yeah, and like luckily I'm really fortunate because I feel like I have really cool friends, so like we always have a different artist on the show every week. And yeah, and we have all like people from all walks of life. Like we have artists there, we have writers there, we have meditation teachers and coaches there, we have like comedians. Like it's just such a beautiful space to really have the tough conversations and to dig deeper into what makes us human, and
Hmm.
like also to have a space to let your heart talk.
Right, right. Well, we think it's beautiful and we absolutely support it. And with Awareness Ties, raising awareness a story at a time. And it's like you say, it's having those tough conversations, those topics that are super difficult to talk about. Those are the ones we really need to talk about the most, and seldom do we. So we applaud you for your work and we support you in that. um which leads us to a couple. Well, we'll save that for a moment. I want to switch gears a bit to Bombshell, the series on Fearless. So fill us in. Another thing. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just like, tell us about this, tell us about this, but tell us about it. What is
Yeah.
it all about? We'd love the insider's perspective.
Okay, so Bombshell is a series now streaming on Fearless and Gay Binge TV, which is both platforms for very inclusive, very niche content,
Mhm.
and it was created by Jonathan Collington. I hope I pronounced his last name right. But we both went to the same college. We both went to New York Film Academy.
Mhm.
And as I was graduating New York Film Academy in May 2019, 18, 19, somewhere around then, like we created this show together, not together. Like I played it. I made a guest appearance and on the show. It is written and created by
Mhm.
himself. And the beautiful and revolutionary thing is that the lead of the TV show is a gay trans person.
Mhm.
And and like it basically shows what we all go through, that the dating world in LA is freaking confusing and it's a struggle. So yeah, like it's a one oh yeah, and the best thing about the whole show is probably that they have an animated penis mascot. So
Well, there you go.
There you go. That's why you watch it.
I mean, why don't more shows have that? I don't know.
Yeah,
But that's great.
yeah. It's wonderful. Like, and it's not there yet, you know?
Right,
Like,
right,
I
right.
can see the mascot already, like as a teddy bear and all kinds of merchandise. Like, I gotta talk to.
Why not? Why not? You know?
Yeah.
I love that this actually led perfectly into this next question, this next topic that we have for you. You talk about this dating scene is crazy in LA. I'm sure everywhere, especially with COVID. But you know, we're so eager to hear from you in your words. Having cerebral palsy, so living with a disability, like it doesn't displace desire. It doesn't mean that that's not part of your life, that you have, that you want. Just want to get a bit more personal and have a conversation about your Patreon profile.
Hmm.
So we'd love to hear your personal and professional perspective on intimacy as it pertains to disability.
Yeah, like, it's actually a great thing to tie up everything we talked about because I feel like the depression that I had as a teenager is also connected to the fact that I couldn't see myself as a woman. Like, I could see myself as a little kid with cerebral palsy, and you can be clumsy and you're being taken care of. But every time I saw the picture, or like every time people say woman, I was picturing like this perfect creature, like Scarlett Johansson or Viola Davis, like entering the room like a queen, and then you just do it, and I just couldn't see myself that way because of my disability, and I'm not a person who is defined by my disability. Like in everyday life, most of my friends, they forget about my disability, and they always like we have all kinds of funny things happening because they forget me. Like, let it be me falling behind when they walk off, or like I struggle with like walking down the stairs, and sometimes they just forget me on top, and then it's up to me and say, can I have a hand? But I always take it as a compliment, and it's been a process for me to
Mhm.
um to deal with that on a personal and also professional level, because I was living my life as a woman, but I couldn't really see myself just yet. And I acting really helped me
Mm.
break through this. And I had a major breakthrough playing seductive scenes as I was cast as Lady Macbeth once in class. And yeah, and that really like proved to me that I could be sexy and that I could do those things. Um, and yeah, but it's been a process, and it's still like I feel like the reason, and we, like a lot of disability influencers are taking up on that topic. Like I'm not alone on that.
Mhm.
So I think it's an important and necessary topic to talk about, especially Sarah Radine, the one who started the dance challenge. She interviewed me on sexuality and disability
Mhm.
back in 2018. Um, and that was also a really cool article she wrote. And back in the article, I also said, like, when it comes to dating, I don't really see myself any different, and I feel like that's also a thing that makes me. Like, I don't really see myself any different. I'd like some. It's sometimes hard because um like I see my why and my drive in bringing people together and uniting people. Like I still sometimes feel that the disability or the disabled entertainment industry and the disabled entertainment industry, like they're slowly coming, like they're slowly talking with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal is to unite them, and I want to unite disabled and non-disabled actors on stage and screen. Like they're my dream is that one day we like it's become second nature, and we don't really use or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we don't really use each other for anything anymore, because I feel like oftentimes, especially when it comes to storytelling, disability is still being used for inspirational stories, and I think it can be more easy, and that's why I also started this Patreon page to show that it can be easy. I just do it because I think it's necessary to talk about. I'm an actress, so my job is to sell sex anyway. And as a disabled actress, it's my job to sell sex as well. And yeah, and I came to this realization only this year because I also did a lot of work on myself, and I had like great support from friends as well. So yeah, like I started this Patreon page because of this conversation that we have, the conversation about disability and sexuality, but also, yeah, my overall goal is to have a stream of income to tell and make movies that matter, and to tell the stories that have been left untold. Um, yeah, and also to, yeah, to take my power back in a way, because a part of the earnings of the Patreon page also support trauma and victims of trauma and abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like if there's something that life has taught me, is that even the pain that you go through, like there's a reason why you go through that pain, and I feel like you can always turn your pain into art and to do something positive with it. So like my Patreon page is multi-layered, and yeah, but overall, it's really my response to take power back, both professionally and personally.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. And I love the fact that, we're seeing a lot of discussion about being able to visualize yourself is one thing or another thing, right? If you can see it, you can do it, these kinds of things. But when you are saying it's not other people that can or can't see you as one thing or another, but you yourself, how you were saying as you were when you were younger, to not be able to see yourself as a woman, to not be able to see yourself as sexy and these kinds of things. And if you can't see it, right, it's like how do we, if we can't see it in ourselves, how can we expect other people to, right? And so
Yeah.
for you to really go and say, okay, I'm going to take the reins on this and put yourself out there and to show this is another version of sexy, this is another version of elegance and beauty and strength, and it comes in the form of this, and to be able to show that and to share that, how many people you will be inspiring on both sides of the aisle, those disabled and those very abled. I Jack and I love you. We are in awe of what you're doing and how you're doing it. We feel like your work is so needed, and any way we can be a stage for you, know that we will be that and be applauding you every single moment. We just can't thank you enough for sharing your story and opening up like this and to so many. We just want to encourage you to continue to do this work. It is so important as we go on this uphill battle of inclusion. It's so necessary and so needed. I like how you just mentioned that you don't really want to see, like, there's the abled industry, the disabled industry in terms of entertainment. Like, let's just be one. Like, let's just, and yes, Jack and I would love the same thing that you mentioned for one day, for this not to be a thing, but rather just part of who all of us are. Some of us have this, some of us don't, da da da. And that we can see each other as whole people, um, not defined by our abilities or disabilities.
Mm. Yeah, and I also believe that the change is gonna come, but it's a process. It always takes time. Like you can see that how long it took the Black Lives Matter movement to actually matter in the mainstream media, and like it's a process. It takes time, but I've learned, especially like this year in quarantine, that it is really necessary to raise your voice for to yeah for and for like for underrepresented people, but also like to the people in power who could
Mhm.
be part of the change. And that's why, like, I feel like if you want to change the system, you got to change it from the inside out. And
Yeah.
that's why it's really important to me to address both parties, the non-disabled and the disabled, and also um yeah, and that's why like it's we live in a capitalistic world, and that's why it's also important to me to have, this with my Patreon page to create movies that matter with the tools that we have.
Mhm.
So yeah, like I really hope that, because people always tell me they can't really put me in, a box, and it's really hard sometimes for myself to brand myself, because 90% of your work as an actor is to brand yourself and to think about, how you're going to be seen and used for the roles you want to play. It's just so hard sometimes to balance it, the being an actor and being an artist, because I feel like a friend of mine once told me, like, Hollywood doesn't have such a thing as a Coco just yet, and that's why, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited what the world's gonna bring, and I just hope that my art and the things that I create are bringing us a little bit more closer together,
Right. Well,
tying us together.
I would like to thank you for reminding everyone to be your own muse and for being a muse yourself to so many of us now. So, thank you for rocking it like you do. We appreciate what you do, how you do it. And as we work to raise awareness together now with you and your story, what actions can people take? What would be one piece of advice if people say, okay, now that I'm aware of this, what can I do? What is, I know it's kind of a heavy question, but
Yeah.
but when you have people come to you to say, hey, Coco, what can I do? How can I fix this? How can I be part of the solution? Is there an answer you tend to give, or
Um. It's maybe we can take it that way when like back when in June, when like the Black Lives Matter riot started, and back then I we my roommates and I were sitting at the table, and one of my roommates was black, and I said, well, I don't want to, like, be, don't let it, I don't want to let it sound like on the nose or anything, but like, tell me, how can I be better? What can I do as a white chick here? And
right?
I feel like every time when it comes to raising awareness, this is what we need. We need the dialogue, even though it's uncomfortable. We need the dialogue, and it's also like a lot of people sometimes ask me, um, like, what can I do to be more inclusive? What can I do to be a voice for you, to push disability in Hollywood, in the media? And I always like I'm really open about my disability. Not everyone is, but even then, it's not your fault if you ask and they don't feel comfortable. Like, it's still not your fault. It's just so important that we have these conversations, that we ask uncomfortable questions, and also that we that we do our research. Like, I did a lot of research on the Black Lives Matter movement. I did a lot of research on how I can deal as a white person with systematic racism, like how, like, and yeah, and I feel like, again, like conversations are the best teacher,
Mm,
and yeah, like, yeah,
yeah.
whenever it comes to awareness, like talk the talk, talk.
Talk the talk, because that is the walk. Maybe the
Yeah,
talk is the walk, right? So maybe then all of that said, maybe it is conversation that ultimately will be the cure, right? For these kinds of things. So
yeah, and don't be. I don't know if that's an American term or an English term, but in German we have the word to not be afraid to touch,
mm,
like to have a fear to touch something, to touch on a topic or a subject. Like don't be afraid to touch on subjects that
yeah.
feel uncomfortable to you.
How
Like
what is the word in German for that?
Berührungsängste haben. So you're having anxiety to touch certain
Got
topics.
it. Got it. Got it.
Berührungsangst. Touching angst. I
Touching.
don't know.
I love it. Sounds
I know.
fantastic.
Like it's so wonderful. Like I was living in the US for 3 years now, and I'm back for the first time now, like back in Germany, and it's like I only just realizing what a beautiful words we sometimes have for things, but
Mm,
like really like we let go of the fear to emotionally touch each other.
yeah.
That's what I hope, and that we come together.
Well, I love that. And yeah, may we all be fearless in that way and dance every day and talk about it. And just can't thank you enough for having this conversation today. Jack is so very sorry and sad that he cannot be here sitting beside me speaking with you. We both are big fans of your work and excited to follow you now and moving forward. Thank you so much, Coco. Really appreciated this. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was beautiful.